Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom for those of you who lived in Japan, while the Nintendo Switch remake should be on its way. So, last time we have somehow managed able to receive ourselves our 5th star piece. In addition to that, about the fact that we somehow beaten not only one boss against with Johnny, but also about the fact that without doubt the hardest fight in the game, which despite the fact that it's been about roughly 5 days ago since I actually have last played this, just because you know about the fact that recently that Tiana, she's finally coming back into Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. So because of that though, yeah, I'll explain more details about that particular topic for later. So because of that, and also we did somehow manage able to receive a special game called Beat or FIFA. So as a result for that particular matter, it's kind of like Galaga kind of stuff. So because of that though, despite I'm not very great at that particular special game, but regardless of such though, it's nice able to have it, I guess. Especially noticeable if you want able to, you know, try your best able to go for a high score, then by all means do that. So either way, today for this video is about the fact that we'll be able to actually start to explore the next location, and that's what appears to be Land's End. And exponentially, we can able to explore some other places as well. So relatively speaking now, everything else will be pretty much accounted for the sake of the forms of how the progression goes. So either way, and so far about the fact that I suppose, when it comes to the 6th star piece that we might consider getting, well, it wasn't until whenever we do come across into one until for later, because obviously about the fact that, as I mentioned this before, it's been about 5 days ago since I actually have last touched this game, especially noticeable because considerably about the fact that, you know, when I mentioned this before, that recently that Tiana, she's now finally coming back into Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and let me tell you that she's quite pleased about the forms of the actual, the views count so far, especially noticeable because concerning about that particular point where she's now basically just focusing on Merry Mega Land for the time being, when it comes to the forms of that particular side modes as far as this is concerned. But either way though, I suppose that we'll let Tiana will able to continue more details about that particular topic in mind, although relatively speaking though about the fact that she's already managed able to win through all 10 sub-games potentially, so the only thing she needs to do right now is of course the hardest part about the forms of Merry Mega Land, and that's of course trying to complete certain mission objectives. And relatively speaking though, I would say the hardest ones out of the bunch though, when it comes to that particular process, it will definitely have to be the online exclusive ones, mainly because you need to be extremely quick when it comes to able to actually get into the top 10, or in some cases scenario, top 20 for that matter. So because of that though, yeah, this might take a bit of a while for her anyway, especially concerning about that particular point where, oh nice, I got myself my nice little flower item, so I can able to get myself attack up for Mario anyway. Although I was expecting for the sake of the forms to try to get the lucky, but chances are though, as far as you probably already dealt with for this point, that basically getting the lucky flower might be potentially felt a bit luck-based. So that's okay for my book. So either way though, few things I want to explain, and that's what appears to be about the fact that it looks like about the fact that when it comes to Mario Kart Tour content though, it seems it's no surprise about the fact that Squeaky Clean Sprint, it sure enough did actually make it. So because of that though, I'm sure about the fact I'm pretty much used to with, you know, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of that particular course in mind, and especially noticeable because back in June forms have been a Feather Cup on the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I feel like the visuals look stunning on the forms of the Switch version, whilst on the mobile phone version, specifically in Mario Kart Tour, which as it turns out became true and stuff like that. So as a result, the visuals do look a bit downgraded. So because of that though, filled to the brim with a lot of like plasticky textures here and there. But I suppose that we'll let Sonic or Tiana will able to mention more details about the forms of that particular tour in mind. Although, potentially speaking though about the fact that, like what they say before, that sure enough though, that Windy Me Racing suit is definitely existent. So, and exponentially, if I've noticed on the promotional images and stuff like that, they did somehow show us the swimwear outfits for the sake of the forms of not only for Rosalina, but also for Daisy as well. Although I suppose I don't mind trying to able to actually get myself the forms of Rosalina swimwear as the actual cosmetic characters and all that considered. Well, that's just because about the fact that technically I've already obtained Daisy swimwear character cosmetic. That's just because I somehow got her by lucky, thanks to the forms of that particular gotcha pipe moments. So, either way though, that's as far as I can usually explain about the forms of Mario Kart Tour stuff for the time being. But, exponentially though, recently, it's about the fact that the Switch sales has been updated. Although I'll explain more details on that in a moment, because as you can tell, that we actually stumbled across into that particular block platform that we can able to actually hop into. And exponentially, the main gimmick of the forms of Land's End, as you can tell, there's a lot of cannons, or specifically one of those tilted cannons that you can able to actually time yourselves with the jumps with, because otherwise though, if you time it a bit too early, obviously you're not going to make your way further. So because of that though, and exponentially speaking though about the fact that we need to do a lot, I mean a lot of isometric platforming, especially noticeable, it gets a bit difficult until later on though, especially noticeable, you can't really judge the actual jump angle sometimes, but relatively speaking though, oh that's nice, I somehow managed to go myself once again, so yeah, that's actually pretty swell if I have to say so for myself. Oh yeah, I should also mention about the fact that when it comes to those other collectibles, I might consider trying to go back onto. When it comes to this particular game itself of Super Mario RPG, there are a couple of surprise boxes that we might able to consider trying to finding it. So because of that though, whenever I was trying to look up on guides or anything else to be more specific of where to find them, I will able to actually just try to able to actually consider that. So even though it's a bit tricky to explain because again, it's been about, you know, 5 days ago since I've last touched this game, especially because, like I said before, Tiana's finally coming back into Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and exponentially that originally though that Silver was expecting to able to tackle through Master level for the sake of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania for the Super Monkey Ball 2 challenge mode, but as far as what both Sonic and Tiana have already mentioned about this before, Silver's not ready for it, so because of that, that's the reason why Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania Let's Play continuation is going to be delayed at some point, maybe next month, or possibly at the end of this month, depending on the forms of, you know what I'm saying about the forms of the continuation parts of the likes of the forms of not only for this, but also with Sonic Frontiers, despite the fact that Sonic is actually getting very close towards the end of Sonic Frontiers, believe it or not. And especially noticeable concerning about that particular point where, you know what I'm saying about the fact that Tiana, she's now onto the halfway point in terms of the forms of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe potentially. So but either way though, sometimes completing certain Let's Plays like these can take a while, so, but I digress. Alright, I should probably also mention about the forms of certain enemy encounters that we've already come across into. Like, for instance, that few of those enemies that we've already sort of managed able to defeat, which there are, Trow, or Chow, I think is what it says anyway, which is basically, it's like the equivalent to, K9 from the likes of the beginning portion of the game, so, yeah, that might be a primal reason for it. I believe for True, as far as I'm aware, did actually got themselves 80 HP, and if you killed them, you get about 15 experience points, and on top of that, you get about 3 coins. And there's also the forms of Octovata. Octovata does have 250 HP, and they drop about 8 coins, and if you killed them, you get about 30 experience points, if I'm assuming so anyway. And on top of that, there's also these equivalent versions of the forms of those spider-like creatures called Spindra. Spindra does have 230 HP, and they drop about 30 experience points if you kill them, and I believe you get about 4 coins if you defeat them too. So, despite the fact that I do apologize for that mispronunciation of certain enemy types, that's just because, again, I wasn't exactly a huge expert when it comes to spelling, unlike Twilight Sparkle, that she's pretty much an expert when it comes to the forms of some spellings and stuff like that. And on top of that, we also come across into Get. Get is basically like the equivalent to Get-Go enemies. So basically, Get does have 100 HP, and for some reason they don't drop coins, but at the very least, if you do kill them, you get about 18 experience points. And so far, that we keep on getting level ups for certain characters nowadays, especially concerning about that particular point where, again, it's always important to know that we always have to make sure we need to level up as much as possible, because otherwise, if we get to the hardest parts throughout the game, obviously we do definitely need to level up. So either way, that's all there is to really say about this here. And also, we actually stumbled across into a bit of a stronger variations of the forms of certain bee-type enemies ever since in Forest Maze, except now they have a different name, like Stinger, which as a result, Stinger does have 65 HP, and they only drop 1 coin if you defeat them, and I believe you get about 13 experience points if you manage to finish them off. So yeah, that's basically all there is to really say about this for the most part. So anywho, so let's talk about the forms of another news and discussions alike, and that will have to be by the forms of, apparently someone said in the comments during the forms within the Sonic Frontiers Let's Play so far, that basically though is about the fact I completely forgot to notice, or even especially noticeable that Sonic has completely forgot to mention about this, and that's what appears to be another one of those cartoons did also receive the actual 20th anniversary treatment, and as a result, this time it appears to be by the forms of My Life as a Teenage Robot. So because of that though, never actually seen that particular show all by itself, although I definitely heard about it, but it's just about the fact I've never actually seen a series like this. But I've definitely seen some clips of it thanks to certain compilations for certain catchphrases or puns or anything else to be more specific. But either way though, I just got no words to be able to notice that. So, oh, and also apparently though, about the fact that we got ourselves a bit of a good news to discuss, although I'll explain more details on the moments later, because here we have yet another enemy encounters we was able to deal with, and this time what appears to be Think Flower. Think Flower does have 200 HP, and they drop 2 coins if you defeat them, and then I believe you get about 20 experience points, so yeah, it gets us that. And also another thing too about the fact that when it comes to everything else I could possibly say about this for the most part, and that will have to be by the forms of power factor, as I mentioned this before, that the Switch sales has been updated. So because of this though, in terms of the actual hardware itself, is actually now onto 129.53 million units sold. So pretty impressive, all things considered. It was almost kind of close to the actual 130 million units, but I'm sure we're able to actually find out more details about that, mainly at some point during the forms of September, or perhaps even maybe specifically until November, because obviously during that specific point where sometimes they just like able to update certain financial sales for the sake of the forms of certain stuff here and there. So, and conveniently enough, I think this is going to be one last enemy we can able to encounter during the forms of Land's End, at least for now anyway, and that's what appears to be by the forms of Criffit. Criffit is basically like the a much more stronger variation of the specific enemies like this before, ever since in Booster Pass. So as a result, it does have 320 HP, which is quite a lot, and they drop about 6 coins if you kill them, and on top of that, I believe you get about 35 experience points, assuming that would be the case. So, anywho though, so yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can usually think about the forms of certain enemy lineup for the likes of Land's End. So either way, that was saying something, so anyway, for those of you probably wondering what today it is for this point, obviously today's day is of course the 5th of August today, in this case in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though about the fact I just want to able to mention about this right now, because obviously I just forgot to mention about what today it is today. So either way, oh, and another thing too about the fact that recently Disney Speedstorm has recently revealed the 3rd season, and as a result this time it appears to be known as Ohana, which obviously what it actually means by that is that we're actually going to be getting ourselves the Lilo and Stitch themed drivers as far as this is concerned. Like basically we're able to get only 4 characters, or actually kind of thinking about it, 5 playable characters based off from Lilo and Stitch series, and on top of that, we're also getting ourselves Minnie Mouse and Daisy Duck as well. So relatively speaking though, we were able to actually get ourselves about 7 drivers as far as this is concerned with the 3rd season. So now in terms of playable characters that we might able to include, obviously it will able to include Lilo, Stitch, and on top of that, they're also going to be including Angel, in this case Experiment, I would say Experiment 624, if I recall correctly. Mind you, it's been ages since I actually have last seen Lilo and Stitch TV series, but I do know for the fact that for, you know, Stitch is basically 626, and Leroy is basically 627, so either way though, I just want to classify for knowing that particular fact. So, oh, I completely forgot that particular enemy right there because I wasn't paying attention to that. So anyway, here we have ourselves Ribbity. Ribbity is basically, it's like the a stronger variation of the forms of these froggy like enemies ever since the beginning portion of the game. So relatively speaking, they do have 250 HP, and I believe if you kill him, they basically it gives you like 22 experience points, and if I recall correctly, for coins value you get about 8. So that's what I was thinking about it anyway. So yeah, and on top of that, they're also going to be bringing ourselves Jumper. So yeah, that seems pretty swell. No Prickly, sadly. And on top of that, I believe the final character based off from Lilo and Stitch characters they were able to actually bring into the actual roster, and that's what appears to be buddy forms of Captain Gantu. So yeah, kind of an interesting lineup as far as this is concerned. And of course, we can never forget the forms of Minnie Mouse and Daisy Duck, because obviously we need to able to have those characters because, well, just able to expand the character roster. That's all there is to really say about this for the most part. So, and I think they do able to actually say about the forms of the actual unlockable methods when it comes to the forms of trying to obtain those characters. Like, for instance, with Lilo, will be unlockable for free via the forms of the actual season tour. So, that's something. And Stitch will be unlockable via the premium tier of the Golden Pass. Oh boy, we do need to able to acquire the Golden Pass subscription for it. Oh look, this area looks familiar, because it appears to be buddy forms of we going back into Crow sewers. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, especially no wonder why. In the beginning portion of this particular journey, or should I say, once we're able to actually make our way to the very end of Kuro sewers, basically though, we can never able to actually get up there at first, because we do need to able to get up there somehow. But as it turns out that thanks to the forms of Land's End cave section, basically that little spring as we have already hopped into earlier ago, basically it transports us back to the forms of Crows sewers, or Crow sewers, as far as what I meant to say. Again, I apologize for my tongue twisting, and on top of that, commentary wise can be felt a bit awkward at times, but that's just because about the fact that I just want to get the actual like other stuff out of the way when it comes to able to discuss upon certain other things throughout. So anywho though, in terms of unlocking Jumper, I think you do need to unlock him will be available via to unlock for free tier for the Golden Pass, okay? And Captain Gantu will be unlockable for free via a season long time limited event, oh boy. And finally for Angel will be unlockable via mystery races in the forms of the season tour. So yeah, I guess that's about it basically. I haven't exactly paid attention to what tracks they were able to bring us into, and that's the perfect example of why of this, because, well, we do have some good news to discuss. Like, first of all, Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U version most likely, and Splatoon 1, the online services is finally back up and running. So because of that though, I'm glad that was being fixed, especially noticeable because after the events of that particular hackers out there who keeps on messing around and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm very pleased able to know that the online experience for the sake of the forms of, wait a minute, something tells me I might as well get myself not only 1, but 10 frog coins if I somehow deliver that particular item for this guy. So, something's worth noting for, especially noticeable, that will give us a massive boost for our frog coins collectibles as far as this is concerned. That will help us out, especially noticeable if we decide to go after one of those accessories, either the experience booster or potentially speaking the best accessory for the majority of the time. So either way, let's traverse back into the Forms of Land's End. Means, unfortunately though, we're not able to go all the way back into the Forms of that particular cave section, or generally speaking though, just any other sections again. So, because I'm pretty sure about the fact that we've already experienced the entire cave section now. So, anyway, so meaning about the fact that I can finally go ahead and try and able to fully 100% everything in the original version of Mario Kart 8 again. So just in case we can able to actually wait for the 6th and final wave for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. So yeah, I'm pretty excited able to actually go back into online in Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U version. So, because for whatever reason, I barely touch upon online play during the forms of in the Wii U version on Mario Kart 8. But that's just because I'm pretty much used to with the deluxe version on the Switch, because obviously of how fun that game can be, and on top of that with the double item system, and on top of that with all that, you know, multiple tracks that we can now able to select, and on top of that, ginormous character roster. Well, I wouldn't say it's that big compared to the forms of how it does it on Mario Kart Tour most likely. And relatively speaking though, is about the fact that it looks like, unfortunately though, it seems about the fact that I'm having some very stupid bad luck with the forms of that godforsaken tier system once again. Because I was at one point, I was on tier number 50, and then every once in a while, I just keep on going down by 1, for the sake of the forms of back in 49, or 48, and 47, and vice versa. So yeah, you probably already know why I hate about the forms of the tier system when it comes to Mario Kart Tour, because usually, relatively speaking, if I was expecting to try to get some better rewards, then sometimes though, luck is out of my place. So because of that though, yeah, it's always been redundant for the sake of the forms of how much annoyance is of the forms of how luck-based that can be. But I digress. Oh yeah, and exponentially speaking too, about the fact that we're able to actually getting ourselves the new LEGO Sonic sets at some point in 2024, which is specifically next year, because after all, though we've already got ourselves the first set of LEGO Sonic the Hedgehog stuff already, since in Journey Forms of on Tuesday, which I suppose we totally forgot to mention about that, Journey Forms of not only in Sonic Frontiers, but also with Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and especially noticeable with Super Mario RPG as well. So yeah, that seems pretty cool that we're now able to actually have ourselves LEGO Sonic stuff. So because of that, oh yeah, speaking of which though, is about the fact that, well, in addition about the fact that we've already know about the fact that with LEGO Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as LEGO Tails and LEGO Amy, have already been appeared during the Evolves event Sonic Forces Speed Battle. Apparently though, that Sonic Dash is also getting those 3 characters, except LEGO Dr. Eggman, which I'm not exactly sure why though. But at least on the upside is though, I somehow received LEGO Sonic the Hedgehog as a playable character. And thank God, no need to able to rely on the forms of 1000 event tokens. Well, it might be felt kind of a good thing, but it's also kind of a bad thing as well, because especially noticeable about the fact that, well, on the other hand, that at the very least we can able to actually collect about 150 character cards, specifically for either LEGO Sonic, or LEGO Tails, or LEGO Amy, depending on certain stimulations. And on top of all that stuff, though, is about the fact that sometimes unlocking those specific characters might take it forever, especially noticeable because not only that we need to able to collect about 150 of these things, but it's also worth noting for us that unlike the event tokens, that you can't easily collect them by knowing exactly where the placements are. However though, on character cards, sometimes they bring us some random character cards along your specific progression. So because of that though, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed about the fact that we're no longer getting ourselves event tokens, so we need to rely on character cards. And also worth noting for, in order able to actually fully level up your characters, that basically though you have to keep on collecting character cards, which I think is actually a little bit tedious in my book, especially noticeable because at one point I was pretty much used to with the forms of the previous updated version of the forms of Sonic Dash, but oh well, I suppose I'm also able to try to cope with it, I guess. And here's another minigame right here, as you can see, where we have to able to go across the forms of those donut lift platforms. Now, here's the catch to this though, there are 3 different difficulties you can able to choose. There's the forms of normal mode, which is basically like a very easy kind of level, and also there's the forms of the special level, and not only that, there's also the expert level as well. I believe if you do manage to complete the expert run, I believe you get yourselves a nice reward, like a frog coin for instance. So let me go ahead and do some awesome platforming skills there, and once you make your way to the end, then sure enough, you were able to actually get yourselves, what else? A glorious frog coin. So, nah, probably not gonna try again, because I'm only gonna take 1 frog coin will do, especially noticeable because here we are onto the forms of the next location, which appears to be in the desert section. So, despite the fact that it still says Land's End, and I think, if I recall correctly, that this particular point does brings us to the optional boss fight, which I was expecting to try to show you guys that, but I might try to do that in another time, especially noticeable because I just really want to get some more progressioning for the sake of the forms of trying to make our way to the next point, or potentially speaking just, well, do a lot of exploration here. So yeah, I think for that particular weird cloud looking thingy right there might have something to do with it. So either way though, now in order to able to progress from one point to the other, when it comes to the forms of Land's End in the desert section, basically as you can see, we need to able to defeat those guys, which as a result, these guys are known as, if I could recall correctly, if I was trying to able to find these guys in particular, these are known as Shootgun. Shootgun does have 150 HP, and as a result, they drop about 10 coins if you defeat them, and on top of that, I believe you get about 24 experience points if you finish them off. So yeah, that's the only method you can able to go from one place to the other when it comes to the forms of the desert portion of Land's End. So yeah, these guys are not that much of a challenge, although despite the fact that certain special attacks for them can be felt a bit too much damage upwards. So, but at the very least though, we actually dished all of those guys no problem, and we got a level up for Gino. So we're now on level 14 for Gino, and also he learns the next move. So that'll be pretty useful though, especially noticeable towards the end of the game essentially. So, anyway, there's also another topic I would like to point things out, and that will have to be by the forms of, well, we got some updates for more DVD release dates, or technically speaking, DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra HD from now on. For instance, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse does confirm the actual release date for the DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, so far the UK version as is. It's going to be releasing until the 11th of September in this year, so that just felt a little bit more quicker than I was expecting will do. And on the other hand, the live action The Little Mermaid is also getting a DVD release date as well. And truth be told, it's going to be releasing on the 2nd of October. So because of that though, yeah, not too surprised. Especially considering about that particular point, I just don't really care. Especially noticeable because I just really want able to focus on other films I was going to be hyped for, like, you know, the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 3 at some point until next year. And for what I've heard about the fact that, well, the writing of the script, or potentially speaking, I'll explain more details about that until tomorrow actually, because obviously, there's also another topic I should probably point things out as well, that apparently there's actually a full description for it, as far as what Tiona she's already mentioned about, that basically we're expecting to finally get ourselves DLC 3, or should I say the third and final DLC for Mario Plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which as it turns out, it was none other than Rayman in the Phantom Show. And as far as what the description says about the forms of that particular DLC in mind, Rayman will be the special guest in a mysterious dimension, the Phantom's Space Opera Network. The Phantom from Mario Plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, as we've already managed able to notice this, is returned, and it's asking for help to improve his channel's ratings. And you'll explore TV sets, take part in dramatic battles, and lead your team to put on the best show ever. So I'm actually quite intrigued about this, and especially noticeable what makes this even better as far as this is concerned, that as far as what Giannis has already said, that the actual release date for that particular DLC is going to be at the very end of this month, the 30th of August. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool though, especially noticeable. It doesn't take that long when it comes to the forms of that particular gap in between, let's just say during the forms of, well, let's just say for example about the fact that when the actual game came out of Mario Plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, usually came out in October 20th last year, that it wasn't until that the first ever DLC, which is of course the Tower of Doom, will be existence until specifically 5 months later. And then, during the forms of the last Spark Hunter, it only took about 3 months gap, but now we're able to experience Rayman in the Phantom Show will be a 2-month gap. So, kind of all over the place when it comes to that particular point worth noting for. Oh, and speaking of which, that over there, that'll be for later, because obviously we do need able to have someone to able to actually let us a hand for able to actually get all the way up to the top of that particular cliffside. So because of that, yeah, let me go ahead and take down those specific enemies right here, so just in case we can able to proceed. So, and yeah, that's about it basically. There's also another topic worth noting for, and that's what appears to be about the fact that it looks like that Minecraft is also getting yet another theme, and as a result, yeah, it looks like that Gino dies, so I might have to able to try to sort something out, like, no matter what though, let me go ahead and try to finish them off as quickly as I possibly could, despite the fact that, relatively speaking, that, oh jeez. That is way too much right there, so let me go ahead and use the, comeback ability for Peach, so we can use that for Gino. And from here, this is what they do. Basically, it's kind of like a pick me up item, except now you can now able to actually use it only wisely because you only need to rely on flower points. So that's how it does. Alright, so we'll just go finish him off, and there we go. I will admit though, that fight is a little bit tricky, but regardless of such though, we did somehow manage to able to make us through, so. And from here we're able to actually go into yet another cave section during there, and there's also a save point right there, so we can able to actually save our game. And this particular section right there is without doubt the best spot when it comes to like not only dealing with the forms of enemies, but also there's a question mark chest there. And what's inside? Well, assuming of course we need to take care of this particular battle first, so that's kind of my fault for able to actually accidentally landing onto that particular enemy there, but that's okay, because obviously about the fact that we can able to, you know, just try to deal with them. Oh, and there are a few occasional moments where the enemies sometimes manage to accidentally hit the other enemy because of the actual confusion they've got, so yeah, that was actually pretty swell. And I have no idea why I somehow keep messing up with the actual timing right there for Peach's Paracel, but I do need to get used to with the actual timing aspects for that particular weapon. So it looks like we've now reached level 15 for Mario. So yeah, that's actually super dope and everything. So let me go ahead and choose whatever the actual stats wants me to increase. And from here, we got ourselves a Starman, so potentially we can able to get ourselves some bit of leveling up here. So either way though, I think the next level up we might give it to is probably Mellow. Which if I was assuming so anyway, yep, Mellow. So anyway, for Minecraft, as far as the actual news update is concerned, they are able to actually get ourselves the next skin texture, and this time what appears to be based off Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So yeah, that's actually pretty swell, especially noticeable because considering that the new film just came out recently, which is of course Mutant Mayhem, and yeah, that's what I can really think about it. And on top of all that stuff though, is about the fact that, relatively speaking, apparently though, about the fact that it looks like that open season is finally making its return, and it looks like they're about able to start the actual new 2D animated series called Open Season Call of Nature. So, not exactly sure how I feel about it, but that's just because I'm not really a huge open season fanatic though, but that's just because about the fact I'm more into the forms of other films, you know? Oh, and by the way, something that Tiana was completely forgot to mention about, in terms of the forms of the actual stupidest news that we've ever actually seen before, or we've ever seen, as far as what I meant to say, it looks like about the fact that Mickey Mouse is eventually being retired effectively immediately. Like, as a result, after that particular, well, let's just say about that particular point when someone did say that this is easily one of the stupidest decisions you ever have made, Disney. Which, I have no words, especially noticeable because he used to be the most iconic mascot when it comes to Disney, but I have no idea that why did they say about the forms of Mickey Mouse officially being retired, effective immediately. Like, seriously, whoever thought that was a good idea? Like, I know for a fact that because of how the fact it's going to go into its downfall, or perhaps even maybe it'll be something else, so, oh well. I just have no words to say. So either way though, because it feels like the future's just gone almost bleak at this point, but either way though, it's kind of hard to tell, especially noticeable that, well, you know what I'm saying. And also, there's going to be another Starman if you managed able to purchase for about 400 coins to this mysterious hooded fella. And from here, we're able to get ourselves a yet another question mark chest, and we can get ourselves yet another Starman, so we can able to destroy all these enemies and occasionally get a level up. So it might be actually be Bowser or Gino or just anyone else in general, despite the fact that my computer starts lagging again, which is not that good, especially noticeable. I will try to fix that at some point, at some point until tomorrow anyway. So I don't feel like about the fact that, well, in terms of everything else I could possibly discuss on that front, unfortunately though, there's nothing I can able to actually buy at something for this point today. Especially noticeable because we are still waiting for, not only for Pikmin 1+2 Switch physical version, and also Super Mario Bros. Wonder, despite we've already managed to pre-order both of these, basically. And obviously I'm still waiting for the forms of, maybe some more announcements during at some point for the likes of, not only for Pokemon Presents, or possibly even maybe with the forms of the final general Nintendo Direct, before we move on to 2024. Maybe they'll try to able to bring us something new in 2024, like aside from the fact that maybe they'll try to mention about the new Princess Peach game they've been on about, and especially noticeable with how Luigi's Mansion 2 will plays out to be on the Switch version, but that topic will can wait until at some point in next time. So speaking of which, I think I should probably end things off this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars, and that's what appears to be we're going on to Balon Temple. Okay, this seems interesting. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.